Hello again, my name is Kyle Paulson, and this video is on knot tying. And before I go on, I wanted to say that I just always request that someone watch the introduction video before they watch any of these instructional videos. Thank you very much. This knot came about because for years I flew not knowing how to align a winch and winch turnarounds, all these things that we're going to talk about that tend to compromise the line. And so I never had my winch set up and working in such a way that the knot became the weakest link in the system, which is how it should be. So rarely would I break the knot. It would always break somewhere else. And so when I learned how to do all these other techniques that will be coming, I started breaking knots, and that had never happened before. And I couldn't figure out why, especially with the small diameters. Well, one day, and by the way, I believe other people in the past have been using this knot, but the community that I grew up in did not know of this knot. We were using another knot. And so one day, my good friend Tim Traver showed up, and he tied this knot on the turnaround ropes. And I looked at that knot, and I could see that that would cause less stress on the knot. And I asked him, "What's that knot?" And he said, "It's just a figure eight. We use it with climbing all the time." And so I started trying to do it, on the monofilament line, and it's worked great. And I have not broken knot since. And so it's a little tricky. It's not as easy as our traditional knot. But what I did is there's a couple tricky things, but this is the figure eight knot. I tied it here on this extension cord so it would be real easy to follow and to see how clean it is. There's no crosses. There's no weak links to the knot. But the thing that I want everyone to see right here is that this line right here, we're going to say that that is the toe line. Okay, and we'll say that this top one, we will say that's the end where we would cut off the line. It would be the end of the line. So this toe line, it's very important that it stay on the bottom and not on the top, because if it's on the top and we pull big tension, it can tend to wedge this underneath and into all the other knots. And I've just noticed it's stronger, it stays cleaner, it's much easier to untie if we put this toe line on the bottom of the knot, and it will not break. Okay, and so I did this with the big extension cord so it's easily seen. Here it is on the real deal, and as you can see, here is the end, and if we follow the end, it actually ends up being on the top, and the toe line, which is the bottom one, comes down, and that's going back to my winch. So now what I'm going to do is attempt to hold the phone with my knees, because I'm all alone. And I'm going to retie this knot and show you how I do it. Everybody is going to probably come up with their own technique. There is no right way here. What's right is that we end up with the correct result. And so here we have, this is the end. I tend to put the end, and this one's going back to my winch. I tend to put the end on this side. And when I do that, it ends up being right. So I just wrap it around my finger, go around one more time. I'm going to start over so it's in this line of the video. I'm going to wrap it around my finger. You come back up around the back side and then down in. Now before I pull it tight, you take this line here, flip it over that, this is the pull line, and as you can see, it all comes out. No crosses, nice and clean, the figure 8 knot. So it's going to take practice. You're going to have to figure out your own way, but that's how it needs to look in the end.